So it's really important that you can spot ratios that show the same thing. For example, here we had 12 to 9, but 4 to 3 also showed the same thing. It showed the pattern that the beads could be put in. So those two ratios are technically identical in the sense that one is a simplified version of the other one. They both show the same ratio. So what we're going to do now is look at this ratio and see how we can tell which ones out of all of these are the same ratio. Now, one of the best ways to do that is to check to see if the number from another ratio, the numbers in another ratio are factors. So, for example, I'm going to see if 5 can be multiplied to make 24. So what I'm going to do, because I'm going to be working with 24 repeatedly rather than just 5 once, I'm going to write down my factors of 24. So 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times, that's going to be 8. 4 times 6. 5 won't go into it because 5 would sit in between 4 and 6, so that's our list of factors. Okay, so 5 is not a factor, so there's no way that we could multiply 5 to make 24, so I know straight away that this is impossible. Let's have a look at this one. Is 12 a factor? Yes, it is. That's great. So how do we get from 12 to 24? Well, we times this by 2. That means whatever we do to this side, to keep it in the same proportion, we need to do to this side. So we're going to times 6 by 2, and we end up with 24 to 12. Well, this is not the same as 24 to 18, so I know for a fact that this is not a simplified ratio of our original one. Let's have a look at this one. So 12. Yes, it's a factor of 24. Great. How do I get from 12 to 24? I times by 2. And then I'd have to times times 9 by 2 as well. So I'd end up with 24 to 18. So this one is correct because I end up at exactly the same place as I started. So this is another pattern that can be formed with our beads, meaning that we can have 2 rows or 2 repeats of 12 of the first bead and 9 of the second bead, and that will use every single one of our beads up. Whereas here, if we'd followed the 5 to 9 pattern, because this 5 is not a factor of 24, we would have ended up with some beads being left over at the end because they couldn't be used, because there wouldn't be enough to make a solid pattern. Let's try 4 to 3. 4 is a factor of 24. It's 6 times, so I'm going to times this one by 6 and this one by 6. 4 times 6 is 24. 3 times 6 is 18. So yes, this is a factor. This is another pattern we could have. We could have 4 of the first bead and 3 of the second bead, and that pattern would occur 6 times to use all of our beads up. What about 6 and 3? Yes, 6 is a factor. 6 times 4 makes 24. So we times this one by 4 as well, and we end up with 24 to 12. It's not the same amount, so we wouldn't have enough of the second bead to make a full pattern. So this one doesn't work. Let's try this one then. 2. 2 is a factor. We'd have to have 2 times 12. 2 times 9 would be, 2 times 12, 9 times 12. So we'd end up with 24 to 90, let's work it out, 90, 9 times 10, and 2 times 9 is 18. So those two together are 108. Again, we'd have a massive shortage of the second bead. So that one doesn't work. And that is how you check to see whether you can simplify a ratio or whether two ratios are identical to each other.